Real economic indicators are piling up and becoming more difficult to ignore. Countless individuals have found themselves in poverty, begging at the feet of their government, hopelessly awaiting salvation. Those in control aim to eliminate any possibility of a healthy recovery. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to discuss some of these indicators that I have mentioned previously over the years and instruct exactly why this is important. Let's get into the global economic collapse that is going on, that is being ignored. More young people are college bound. Take a look at this chart showing you that the share of 18 to 34-year-olds enrolled in college has risen steadily since 1960. There are many reasons for this. Oftentimes, your typical education, post-secondary education, is not good for much anymore. So people have to continue on and get more and more degrees. But oftentimes people graduate from school, realize they can't get a job, so they continue to go to school. And it's a never-ending cycle. And this is why we have the most student debt ever. Talking trillions of dollars of student debt that is simply piling up and piling up. Let's look at this. Fewer young adults will be hearing wedding bells. That's right, 18 to 34-year-olds are much less likely to be married today. Again, there are many reasons for this, and all of the other indicators I'll show you, but you can see this as just one more indicator. Trying to explain to the people here that what you have is a changing of the times, and it's not just socially what's happening. I'll get into it in a moment as I quote from my book, but all I wanted to show you is this, as well as this chart here. Millennials are putting off their vows. The median age at their first marriage has risen considerably since 1940. So you can see those numbers slowly but surely increasing. A lot is changing economically, particularly since World War II. Things have changed. Then you have, of course, since the 1970s, where everything began to take off. Let's look at this last but not least for these type of charts. Not ready to leave the nest. Share of 18 to 34-year-olds living with their parents or family members. Yet again, an increasing number. I'd like to highlight 1970 because, homeownership has declined over these years. We've seen, in fact, the prices of homes becoming a burden on the people. Now, what happened in 1970 that was significant? Well, we all know about the whole Nixon situation, pulling the world off the gold standard, essentially, the dollar standard. And what we had was this. Now, exclude the boom that occurred, for the subprime mortgages. What you had here is a home ownership rate that really goes in line with the whole economy. And you could see that it is down significantly. More people have to rent today than had to previously. What does that show you is that people simply cannot afford homes unless you make them subprime, ninja loans, interest only, adjustable rate mortgages, and all of this other stuff. Right here, quoting from my book, which is I wanted to get to. As you can see, there's 2 points that I've made here. In 1970, the average home price was about $27,000. In 2010, it was about $270,000. That's a tenfold increase over the 40 years. So you may think of this in a way where if you held on to that home for 40 years, you made 10 times on your money. Sounds great. The median household income for 1970 was $9,000. 40 years later, it's $50,000. That's a 5-fold increase. So think about this. Your wage has not kept up over that same 40-year period by a factor of 2. So everything that you buy, twice as expensive. And this is, of course, just general numbers here. But you see what I'm trying to point out to you. Things have certainly changed. So if a house is going to cost you many more times to buy it, how are you ever going to afford it? And if you stay in school for, let's say, 10 years, after those 10 years, due to inflation, things only get more expensive. And if you didn't find that job you wanted, well, this is going to be even more difficult to get out of debt because of everything that's happened since you went back to school. You know where I'm going with that. Let's look at this. S&P 500 top with the US 15 most active advanced decline lines at the bottom. Okay, now, all you need to see from this is that there have been 3 times where this has occurred in the recent past. We had one from the financial crisis, we had one with the dot-com boom, and believe it or not, we have it again today. These are technical indicators that a lot of these analysts like to look at. You don't need to know all the details. What you need to understand is that when a cycle repeats, you have to sort of flip forward into the pages and realize what's happening. Okay, this happened, let's just imagine 100 times before. What do you think is going to happen now? Let's move on to this here. Yuan fix. All I want to get across today for this is that what China does with their currency in the short term, don't be affected by it. Look at their long-term plan. And it seems that, yes, over the years, they have allowed it to rise. In more than recent past here, we've seen a significant and sharp decline, but steadily increasing. The numbers do fluctuate up and down. What I would suggest is don't look at the short-term noise, look at the trend. And last but not least, with all of this detriment that's going on, all of the poverty, all of the homelessness, there is a great divide that has occurred. Florida's Palais Royale boost its price tag to $159 million. Not even the most expensive I've seen. They're trying to build a $500 million home. And you could see that the extravagance that some individuals have. I mean, it's incredible to see how rich the rich really are. There are few and far between, but it doesn't matter. What we're looking at here is a great divide that has occurred between the rich and the poor. And this is excellent examples of that. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. If you go over to Amazon, you can actually flip through the book. They have this look inside feature which allows you to flip through the pages of the book to see if you like it. Take care.